Picture a future where your next juicy burger, creamy cheese, or decadent chocolate bar does not begin its journey on a distant farm or in a rainforest clearing plantation, but rather inside sparkling, high-tech tanks filled with precision-brewed microbes. These advanced fermentation chambers, humming quietly in cities or rural innovation hubs, are powered by sustainable energy sources and nourished by agricultural leftovers that would otherwise be discarded. Here, teams of scientists meticulously tailor the environment, controlling temperature, nutrients, and oxygen at a molecular level to coax out the very proteins, fats, and flavors that define our favorite foods. The outcome? Products indistinguishable from those we have cherished for generations, perhaps even surpassing them, created with a fraction of the natural resources, and boasting an environmental footprint so small it could fit inside your recycling bin. It may sound like science fiction, but this vision is rapidly materializing. And Europe is taking a bold leap, committing over €350 million to lead the global race in fermentation-powered food innovation. But what exactly is at stake in this microbial revolution? And can an age-old process like fermentation truly disrupt the food system that has fed the continent for millennia? To answer these questions, let's embark on a journey through the scientific, economic, and cultural dimensions of fermentation, and explore how Europe stands poised at the forefront of a food transformation with worldwide implications. Fermentation is hardly new. Human societies have harnessed the invisible power of microbes for food preservation and flavor for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows that as far back as 7,000 years ago, people in what is now China were fermenting grains and fruits to produce alcoholic beverages. In Egypt, bakers and brewers used wild yeast to make fluffy bread and beer. Across the ancient world, fermentation was both an art and a survival tool, enabling communities to store surplus crops, unlock nutrients, and infuse foods with complex flavors that defined local cultures. Think of the sharp tang of sauerkraut on German tables, the deep umami of Japanese miso, or the pungent bite of blue cheese in French cuisine. Each of these staples owes its existence to the natural, slow dance of microbes, transforming humble ingredients into culinary treasures. The science behind fermentation made a quantum leap in the 19th century, when the brilliant French chemist Louis Pasteur peered through his microscope and discovered that tiny living organisms, not mysterious chemical forces, were responsible for the magic. Pasteur's revelations not only demystified fermentation, but also set the stage for a new era in microbiology. Suddenly, it became possible to control which microbes were at work, reducing the risk of spoilage or disease, and laying the foundation for everything from industrial food production to modern medicine. By the 20th century, industrial fermentation had delivered antibiotics, vitamins, and mass-produced foods to billions, fundamentally reshaping global health and nutrition. Now, in the 21st century, fermentation is being reinvented once more, this time as a cornerstone of sustainable food technology. Armed with breakthroughs in genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and systems biology, scientists can now design and program microbes to perform feats unimaginable to our ancestors. At the heart of this revolution are two game-changing approaches: biomass fermentation and precision fermentation. Biomass fermentation leverages the remarkable efficiency of certain fungi and bacteria to convert agricultural side streams, things like straw, husks, and even food processing waste, into protein-dense foods. These microbial powerhouses grow rapidly in controlled environments, producing a nutritious biomass that can be harvested, processed, and shaped into everything from burger patties to scrambled egg alternatives. Imagine a savory steak or a tender chicken nugget, but instead of coming from an animal, it is cultivated from mycelium, the root-like structure of fungi, or from specially selected bacteria. Not only does this process sidestep the ethical and environmental dilemmas of animal farming, but it also allows food to be produced almost anywhere, regardless of climate, soil, or season. Precision fermentation, on the other hand, is like giving microbes a set of blueprints to build highly specific molecules. By tweaking the microbial DNA, scientists can instruct yeast or bacteria to make the exact proteins found in cow's milk, the unique fats that give chocolate its melt-in-your-mouth texture, or the rare flavor compounds that define certain cheeses. This approach enables food makers to replicate, enhance, or even invent entirely new ingredients with extraordinary precision. For example, plant-based dairy products made with precision-fermented whey protein are already entering the market, providing lactose-intolerant consumers and vegans with realistic alternatives that do not compromise on taste or performance. These advances are not happening in hidden laboratories, but in state-of-the-art bioreactors, sleek, stainless steel tanks that can operate around the clock with minimal supervision. Using renewable electricity and closed-loop systems, these facilities can be sited in urban centers, rural communities, or anywhere with access to energy and water. By decoupling food production from the constraints of land, weather, and traditional supply chains, fermentation has the potential to reshape not only what we eat, but where and how we produce it. Europe's decision to invest heavily in fermentation is driven by a confluence of economic, environmental, and strategic concerns. The European Union imports vast quantities of food every year, making it vulnerable to global supply chain shocks, trade disputes, and the whims of distant markets. Meanwhile, conventional livestock agriculture consumes more than 3/4 of European farmland and is responsible for significant greenhouse gas emissions, water use, and biodiversity loss. The environmental costs are staggering. Livestock farming alone accounts for nearly 1/5 of all greenhouse gas emissions globally, and in Europe it is a major driver of habitat destruction and water pollution. Enter fermentation-powered foods. According to the Good Food Institute Europe, alternative proteins, many of which rely on fermentation, could inject as much as €65 billion into Germany's economy by the year 2045, while creating over 250,000 high-quality jobs. These figures are not mere speculation. They are grounded in detailed economic modeling, and they echo findings from across the continent. Startups, research institutes, and established food companies are racing to tap into a market that promises not only profits, but also a chance to redefine Europe's role in the global food system. The environmental upside is equally compelling. A major study published in Nature Food found that replacing just 1/5 of global beef consumption with microbial protein could cut deforestation rates in half by the year 2050. That single intervention would not only preserve millions of hectares of rainforest, but also safeguard critical biodiversity hotspots, reduce the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides, and help meet international climate targets. In practical terms, this means that the food on your plate could become a powerful tool in the fight against climate change. Solar Foods, a pioneering Finnish company, offers a glimpse of what this future might look like. Their signature protein, Solane, is made using little more than air, water, and renewable electricity. The process requires 100 times less land than conventional soy farming and 500 times less water than beef production. By scaling up such innovations, Europe could free up vast tracts of land for rewilding, carbon sequestration, or sustainable agriculture, while dramatically reducing its ecological footprint. To accelerate this transformation, the European Union has crafted an ambitious investment strategy. Under the Horizon Europe initiative, €150 million have already been allocated to support sustainable bioeconomy solutions, with a further €200 million earmarked for the years 2026 and 2027. This funding is not just for research, but also for building bridges between academia, startups, and established industry players, ensuring that breakthroughs in the laboratory translate quickly into real-world products and jobs. Some member states are taking the lead in their own right. Denmark, for instance, has committed more than €9 million in 2024 alone to support plant-based and fermentation-driven food innovation. The United Kingdom's Food Standards Agency is piloting regulatory sandboxes, which are flexible frameworks that allow new food technologies to be tested and brought to market more rapidly, while still maintaining rigorous safety and transparency standards. Meanwhile, the University of Bath in England has secured a £12 million grant to expand its research in cellular agriculture and fermentation, helping to bridge the notorious Valley of Death that often traps great ideas between the lab bench and commercial scale-up. Yet, despite this momentum, formidable challenges remain. Scaling up fermentation-based food production from boutique pilot projects to mainstream supermarket shelves is a complex, capital-intensive task. The technology itself is intricate, requiring highly controlled environments, specialized expertise, and robust supply chains for inputs and distribution. Even when the science is sound, securing consumer trust is an ongoing battle, especially in an era when ultra-processed foods are viewed with suspicion. Many shoppers associate novel food technologies with additives, artificial flavors, or hidden risks. However, advocates like the Physicians Association for Nutrition counter these concerns with robust scientific evidence. Plant-based meats and fermentation-made proteins, they argue, can help reduce harmful LDL cholesterol, improve digestive health, and lower the risk of chronic diseases such as bowel cancer. The benefits are clear, but only if consumers are given transparent information, rigorous safety assurances, and honest labeling. Liz Specht of the Good Food Institute calls fermentation the third pillar of alternative protein production, offering a unique way to create sustainable and scalable ingredients. She also warns that without coordinated policies and effective communication, even the best technologies can fail to gain traction. Regulators are moving swiftly to keep pace. The United Kingdom's regulatory sandbox is just one example. Across the European Union, there is a growing recognition that harmonized standards and streamlined approvals are essential to avoid a patchwork of conflicting regulations that could stifle innovation. As Jim Thorne of Lux Research puts it, precision fermentation offers the most direct route to animal-free fats, unlocking the potential for truly realistic alternative meat and dairy products. Investment is pouring into the sector, but scaling up to meet demand while maintaining quality is a logistical marathon. Swedish startup Mycorrhiza recently raised more than 27 million euros to expand its production of mycoprotein, a protein-rich food derived from fungi. Even with this capital, however, turning lab-grown proteins into affordable, mainstream products requires relentless focus on process optimization, supply chain integration, and market education. Europe's grand strategy hinges on building strong public-private partnerships, investing in research infrastructure, and launching continent-wide consumer awareness campaigns. Knowledge-sharing initiatives are being ramped up, so that a breakthrough in microbial fermentation in the Netherlands can be rapidly adopted in Southern or Eastern Europe. But the risk of regional disparities is real. While innovation hubs in Scandinavia, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom sprint ahead, many parts of Southern and Eastern Europe still lack the infrastructure, skills, or investment needed to participate fully. Creating a fair and inclusive bioeconomy will require targeted support, workforce training, and policies that promote cross-border collaboration and technology transfer. So what does all of this mean for you? Whether you are a consumer, an entrepreneur, or a policymaker tuning in, for everyday shoppers, it means that in the near future, the foods you love could become far more sustainable, ethical, and climate-friendly, without sacrificing taste or quality. Imagine enjoying a rich chocolate bar, a creamy yogurt, or a hearty burger, knowing that each bite conserves water, preserves forests, and protects animal welfare. For entrepreneurs and investors, Europe's commitment of more than 350 million euros sends a powerful signal. The fermentation revolution is unfolding now, and those who act early stand to benefit most. The economic upside is enormous. By 2045, alternative proteins could add over 65 billion euros to Germany's economy alone and create 250,000 new jobs, ranging from biotechnologists and engineers to farmers trained in novel agricultural techniques and logistics professionals who manage new supply chains. The ripple effects will reach far beyond the food sector, driving growth in manufacturing, research, and education. For policymakers and scientists, the path to success depends on three key pillars: transparent communication, uncompromising safety standards, and broad affordability. Dr. Ingrid van der Meer, from Wageningen University and Research, highlights the potential to transform agricultural side streams into valuable, locally produced nutrients, with no direct land use and a mild, eco-friendly production process. This means that what was once dismissed as waste could soon become the backbone of a circular, sustainable European food system, creating value from every stage of the supply chain. There is another dimension to this revolution: the ability to customize nutrition at an unprecedented scale. Precision fermentation allows food designers to tailor lipids and proteins with specific fatty acid profiles, micronutrient contents, or flavor notes, opening up possibilities for foods that not only taste better, but actively promote health. The first cultivated meat products approved for sale in the United States in the year 2023 relied on fermentation-derived growth factors, demonstrating how interconnected these technologies have become. Eric van der Meer, CEO of Dab.bio, argues that smart policies, such as mandating a certain percentage of green compounds in products, can assure demand and encourage investment in fermentation manufacturing plants. Martin Plambeck, CEO of Biosynthia, provides an eye-opening example. His company's fermentation-based process reduces chemical usage by more than 95%, eliminates approximately 40 kilograms of hazardous waste for every kilogram of biotin produced, and cuts carbon dioxide emissions by about half, compared to conventional processes. These are not incremental improvements. They are seismic shifts in industrial sustainability, with the potential to transform entire sectors. Europe's farm-to-fork strategy, aiming to halve chemical pesticide use by the year 2030, also highlights the power of fermentation. Microbe-derived biopesticides are emerging as a crucial tool in this transition, offering farmers effective, eco-friendly alternatives to synthetic chemicals. This is yet another testament to the versatility of fermentation, which extends far beyond food into agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and even materials science. Of course, every revolution brings risks and unknowns. In one scenario, widespread adoption of precision and biomass fermentation leads to dramatic reductions in land and water use, emissions, and animal suffering, while making nutritious food more accessible to all. In another, regional bioeconomies flourish around fermentation hubs, fostering local jobs and resilience in the face of global disruptions. Yet, a third scenario cannot be ruled out: regulatory gridlock, public mistrust, or philosophical debates about naturalness slow progress, limiting these breakthroughs to niche markets or affluent early adopters. The stakes are high, and the outcome will depend on choices made at every level, from government and industry to educators, the media, and consumers themselves. So how can we collectively tip the scales toward the most positive future? Experts agree that multi-level engagement is essential. Governments must harmonize regulations, invest in research infrastructure, and provide incentives for sustainable practices. Companies need to build trust through transparency and collaboration with academic institutions. Media and educators should shift the narrative, framing fermentation not as an alien or risky technology, but as the natural evolution of a process that has nourished humanity for millennia. After all, as Liz Specht reminds us, fermentation is the third pillar of alternative proteins, and arguably the most versatile. And here's a surprising detail. Fermentation is already woven into the fabric of our daily lives. Every time you enjoy a slice of bread, a sip of wine, or a tangy yogurt, you are benefiting from the same microbial magic that now powers this green revolution. What has changed is our ability to guide and scale these processes with unprecedented precision, using the tools of DNA sequencing, artificial intelligence, and closed-loop manufacturing. Yesterday's waste streams are becoming tomorrow's gourmet meals, and the line between food scientist and chef is growing ever thinner. Will Europe overcome its regulatory hurdles, unite skeptical consumers, and emerge as the global leader in sustainable food innovation? The answer is not predetermined, but the building blocks are falling into place. With massive public and private investment, robust policy frameworks, and a deep pool of scientific talent, Europe stands on the cusp of a historic transformation. If the region seizes this moment, combining technological daring with inclusive, transparent governance, then the food on your table could soon be a symbol of environmental stewardship, economic vitality, and culinary delight. So next time you stroll down the supermarket aisle or scroll through a menu on your food delivery app, pause and consider. The next wave of food is being brewed in tanks, programmed in laboratories, and shaped by visionary public policy. The choices you make as a consumer, investor, or citizen, and the conversations you engage in, will help determine whether this future is realized for all or reserved for a privileged few. If you found this deep dive into Europe's food revolution inspiring, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you tasted a fermentation-made food yet? What excites you most or makes you most cautious about the upcoming era of food technology? Join the conversation and stay tuned for more stories that explore